All right, I think we're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Onwards and Upwards. We're pleased you're here today. We've got a great show for you. All right, we are experiencing a little technical difficulty, but I think we've got it worked out now. So, my name is Holly Musselwhite. I'm going to be your host for today. I'm the Senior Clinical Manager for AMN International. I work mostly with our direct hire nurses and also a little bit on the staffing side. And in just a few minutes, we're going to bring on our guests. We have some great guests attending today, some new faces you may be seeing. So there's Xavier and John and Dee. Dee might be a familiar face, but I don't know if Xavier's ever been on. And John, it's great to see you. I think this is my first time getting to meet you. We are excited that you will be able to put questions and comments in the chat. So make sure you're putting where you're watching from, as well as what questions you may have for our guest today. And also, don't forget that this is your opportunity to apply with us. If you're interested in working with AMN International, this is your opportunity to do so. Just check out the link below. Apply at amnhealthcare.com//international. And coming up today, we are going to be talking about why international nurses choose the staffing pathway. So if you've ever wondered about that, we're going to answer questions. We're going to get a real life, true to life story from someone who actually did that, John. And again, I don't see any comments yet in the chat, so make sure that you're putting where you're signing in from. I know we usually get guests from across the globe, so let us know what location you're currently in. And as we go through the information today, please post your comments, okay? All righty. So now that we have our guests all on screen here, I would like for each of you to introduce yourselves, tell us a little bit about your background, and actually why you do what you do. I always find it interesting to get to know everyone a little bit before we dive into the content. So I think today we'll start with John, and then after John, we'll hand off to Xavier and then Dee. All right, John, take it away.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is John Edwin A. Cachuela. I'm a Filipino nurse practicing in the United States. I arrived here 3 years ago with assistance from O'Grady Payton International AMN Healthcare, and I currently work in a facility here in Western Massachusetts as a behavioral health nurse. So overall, I've been a nurse for 15 years now. I've worked in pediatrics, occupational health. I did medical, surgical as well, but the one that I really love doing is in psychiatric mental health nursing. So that's what I am doing at the moment.
All
So nice
right.
meeting you all.
Thank you, John. Can't wait to hear more about that. Xavier?
Yep. Thanks, Holly. My name is Xavier Garza. I'm the Senior Director of Sales Operations for AMN International. I've been with AMN International for just over 8.5 years. And in my role, I lead the teams that support all of our clinicians before they move to the US, and then supporting along the way through all the logistical process. In addition to that, my team supports all of our clinicians on the staffing side once you start your assignment for all the social support.
Thanks, Xavier. And Dee? Last but not
Hello.
least.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are listening in from. I see that we've got someone from the UK, from the Philippines. It is so good to see John. And I have been with the organization for just over 18 years, the last 8 of which I have spent here in the international division. And Holly asked a question, why do we do what we do? It is because of nurses like John. John was one of the first international clinicians that I ever met when I transferred over to the international division of AMN Healthcare. And we have stayed in communication and contact for a long time. And he has shared all of his milestones with us, his life, and just he is a true testament of what you can accomplish here in the United States. So I am so excited for him to share his story with you all. It is certainly very motivational. And I know if anybody is on the line kind of thinking about like, do I do this? Do I not? I am confident that John's story will help you make that decision. So I'm very excited. And thank you very much, John, for joining us today. Really excited to see you.
All right. So before we move into our the rest of our content for today, I'm just going to take a look in the comments because I want to see where everybody's watching from. So Kelvin is watching from the UK. Nice. And Marose is watching from, looks like the Philippines. Mega already has a question. Let's see. How much does it cost to be an iris nurse? So that I'm not sure about. Mega, maybe put a little more clarity to your question. I'm not sure if maybe we can help you out with that one along the way today. Simar says hello. Rami liked hearing what we've talked about so far. I think excitement to hear more about John's experience, and I'm looking forward to that too. All right. I'm going to challenge my pronunciation here. So Kanani, apologies if I messed that one up, but is watching from Johannesburg, South Africa. So that's a long ways away. Great to see you're able to tune in today and learn a little bit more along with us. Ali from London is a cardiac ICU nurse and is on the pathway past the NCLEX. Yes, awesome job, Ali. That's so exciting. Only one document pending. Got to do that American Heart BLS. Okay. And Samar is signing in from Germany. Pia is talking a little bit about visa delay. We'll maybe touch on that a little bit, Pia. And it's good to see that you are watching, looks like from New York. So you're on the same time zone that I am on. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can keep putting your locations in the chat. We are going to get started talking about your journey to the United States. And I want to start, John, with you. I want to know what inspired you to become a nurse in the US and how did you discover AMN Healthcare International?
Yes, so beyond my passion for nursing and the desire for a more financial freedom or independence, I am motivated to pursue a nursing career in the United States due to the endless opportunities available for us. This includes the possibility of becoming a travel nurse or pursuing a non-bedside position like clinical management, telehealth, or become an advanced practice nurse working independently, like a nurse practitioner or a nurse specialist, hospitalist. And I gained these insights while I was in nursing school, and that was 15 years ago. And I made conversations, I talked to nurses working here as well. I've got colleagues, family members who have direct experiences working as nurses here in the United States. And in fact, my cousin, who was nearing the completion of her assignment, that was, I think, 4 years ago with AMN Healthcare, OGP, at that time highly recommended the agency to me. She sent me the link and I immediately applied, and that's where it all began. And I think I made the right choice and I have no regrets at all. And now I'm living the American dream.
Awesome. So I know we're going to learn a lot more along the way. I'm going to switch for just a second to ask Dee, what are the top reasons why international nurses are choosing staffing through AMN International?
Absolutely. So thank you, John, for sharing a little bit of your story. So, particularly now, and I know that there's a couple of questions in the chat about visa processing delays, retrogression, all that. So right now, choosing a staffing pathway is going to be the best choice because you have your I-140 filed as soon as you've got all of your documents in, which takes about, maybe 10 days. And you secure that all-important priority date. So we cannot control what's going to happen with the visa bulletin, right? We can all hope that it's going to move in our favor. However, there's no guarantees around that. So what we always say is control what you can control. And what you can control is making the right decision and applying to AMN Healthcare / International today and choose the staffing route. Because, and I will get more into it as well as we continue with questions today, but that is going to get your place in line. And that is what you can control, right? So you can decide today to follow on the same journey that John did, that he's going to talk to us about, and you can really take control of that today. Additionally, because we are retrogressed, you've got the beauty of time, right? So you don't need to choose today where you want to be long-term in the United States because you have time. And our expert recruiters and support team are here to help you every step of the way. So if you've got questions and or hesitations and you're not sure, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to help you. So that is kind of very high level, but I know that we'll get into it again as we go through the show. But take control of what you can control, choose the staffing pathway, and you will get here to the United States and live your American dream just like John.
And I appreciate that we're going to actually delve a lot deeper into some of these things. I do see a quick question from Deep Sharma saying, where can I apply? So that would be going to amnhealthcare.com /international, and you would be able to apply. And we welcome your interest. Thank you so much for asking that question. I also see some more folks saying where they're signing in from. So Deepa, being from India, I don't know how much you know about the priority dates and things like that, if you've previously had a filing. But sometimes the timeline for nurses from India gets quite extended because of the fact that they may be looking now and haven't ever had a visa filing. And so those dates are actually retrogressed even further back, but doesn't mean you should give up. If this is your dream, we are going to go through the pieces and parts to the process so that you do have a pretty good understanding of how things work. Arlene, I've seen your name before here, and I'm glad you joined us again from Jamaica. Thank you so much. Opaleke from Nigeria, or it may be Constance. Maybe you've got your first and last name switched there. Thank you so much for signing in from Nigeria. Nice to see your nationality represented here. And I see another fellow Nigerian, Kingsley, is on. And let's see, Nitioma is signing, it looks like from Ghana, asking about pre-NCLEX programs. We might talk about that during the show a little bit. But I can tell you that the NCLEX is one of the most important steps that you can complete if your desire is to come and work as a nurse here. And John, I've heard you have some interesting things you can share about that. So I'm looking forward to learning more there. I'll switch gears for just a minute. And Xavier, I did want to ask you, onboarding is a huge support for nurses as they immigrate here. And I know that you are leading a team that provides a significant amount of support through the process. Can you tell me, like, how early does onboarding begin for an international nurse once they're matched with a facility?
Yeah, great question, Holly. It's certainly a very exciting time for the clinicians as they think about their move from their home country to where they're going to be placed in the U.S. So the timeline in which our team will reach out to start that relocation process really depends on where the clinician is going to be placed. And a lot of that is due to the state licensing requirements. Generally speaking, our team will reach out approximately 6 to 8 weeks before a clinician is going to start their assignment. And in that time frame, it's really a discovery session for our team to find out the ins and outs of what that relocation is going to look like. So finding out if a clinician is going to be traveling with their family, are they bringing any pets, are they bringing any household goods, what are their wants and needs for where they want to live once they move to the U.S. That's what our team is really finding out in that whole time frame. We want to make sure we have all the information, and then once we have that, our team will work to schedule a call to just re-verify things. Things change all the time and plans will change all the time as well. So we want to make sure that when we're starting that process of presenting housing options or looking for the best school districts, really tailored to the needs of every clinician, that we're making sure we're meeting the needs. So generally speaking, 6 to 8 weeks before the clinician is expected to travel. And then within that whole timeline, our team is in communication, sending housing options, helping support the application process, and really getting all the details dialed in so that we can make what can certainly be a stressful move from one country to the other as stress-free as possible.
Thanks, Xavier. That's really good information. So as you can see, a lot of work and planning and communication is done to make sure that that process is as coordinated and supported as it can be. John, what made you feel that AMN was the right decision for your journey?
Well, my cousin, hi Justin, she really highly recommended AMN to me. But I also did my research about the organization's history, reviews from employees, current, former employees. I did my research online. I found out during my time it was still under O'Grady Payton International AMN Healthcare. I found out they have like 35, 40 years of experience in the industry. So I know they are established and knowledgeable with all the processes. In nursing groups, I found many positive experiences with AMN, and they offered me at the time the pre-NCLEX program where they supported my exam preparation. After my examination, they immediately filed my petition, and it took me 7 months from passing my NCLEX to beginning my new adventure here in the United States. But that was because the visa bulletin was current, and that was like 3 years ago. And signing with them really changed my life. I still can't believe up to this day, whenever I drive around, that I'm here in America living my American dream. And just last month, I was able to bring my parents here. We traveled around the United States. We went to New York, to the places where I really wanted them to see. So, yeah, those are the pictures. Parents. So I'm so happy that I was able to provide or to achieve those things from not just for myself, but also for my parents. I was able to send my sister to school. One of my sister is actually in Canada right now and making her way to become or to work in the nursing field as well. So that's all because of me working here in the United States.
Yeah. It's truly a testament to the amount of impact when you hear how one person's journey here will connect so many others to opportunities, whether it's, a family member who wants to go through nursing or family who's always dreamed of visiting here. So it's really neat to see the pictures from your trip with your parents. That's really inspiring. And thank you for sharing those with us. So Dee, what should centers consider if they're trying to decide between a staffing opportunity or one via the direct hire route?
So great question. I love this question. So there are a couple of things that you will want to consider. First and foremost, if it is your main priority to establish that priority date, then choosing the staffing pathway is going to be the fastest way for you to do that. Because you don't need to have decided on a location or on a particular position in order to get that process started, right? So that's number one. And I see a couple of questions coming in about the visa bulletin and what could possibly happen in the next fiscal year. Nobody knows, but there is a chance that it may retrogress further. There's a chance that it may stay where it's at. There's a chance that it may advance, right? So nobody really knows. So that's really why, again, going back and really controlling what you can control and establish that all important priority date, because that's going to be important regardless of what happens with the visa bulletin. Secondly, as with many of us, if finances are something that is a challenge for you, then by choosing a staffing pathway, particularly with with AMN Healthcare International, then all of the majority of those processing costs are taken care of for you, right? So think about your I-140 application, your visa screen if you do not have it. We also provide an English preparation course if you do not have that. So that can be something that might be very appealing, particularly if finances are a challenge in getting you started, because it can be expensive, right? And so by choosing the staffing pathway, then we take care of the majority of that for you. In addition, the immigration process, all of the forms, all of the documentation, John can attest to that. It can be very, very confusing. It can be very challenging. It can be daunting. So we help you every step of the way, right? So from your visa screen application, your I-140 application, all of the above. So that is very important as well as you're considering what pathway you want to take, either the staffing pathway, which is what this show is about today, or the direct hire pathway. The great thing is that we have both, but again, we want to focus on the staffing pathway today because that is going to be your fastest route to get that priority date established. Lastly, and then I know I'll leave it for right now, but lastly, it happens. We don't like when it happens, but in certain cases, just depending on what's happening in the marketplace, your job offer may be rescinded just due to different things that may be happening. On the staffing pathway side, then by choosing the staffing pathway with AMN Healthcare International, then we'll find you another position. Your I-140 processing is not affected, right? So it's almost like a little safety net, if you want to look at it that way. And I know John is going to add additional context, but those would be the top 4 reasons why you should be choosing a staffing pathway right now. And I'm excited to take more questions as we go on in the show. So hopefully that helped everybody.
I think it did, Dee. That was some great information. We have had quite a few questions popping up, and I want to try to we have so much we wanted to cover today. So I'm going to just answer a couple of these really quickly. One of them was about experience. So Aliza was saying, how about hospital experience? Is it still a strict requirement, at least 2 years experience? And how about without experience? So Dee, do you want to just speak to that really quickly?
Absolutely. So right now, in this environment, our clients are looking for bedside experience. So if you have a minimum of 1 year experience and you have NCLEX, then we want to hear from you, right? So, if you want to go back about maybe two years ago, it was a different environment coming off COVID, all of that stuff. Then hospital clients were more open to different types of experience. So right now, we do need current bedside experience. So if you are listening in and you're not currently working at the bedside, we would encourage you to start looking, because that is just going to make your application a lot stronger as you're looking at opportunities across the US. So yes, short answer is you do need hospital experience.
Mm-hmm. Samara also says, I don't regret choosing AMN, as they don't abandon their hired nurses. Even if failures happen, they are eager to help and very considerate. So that is very true. I think that overall our team at AMN considers your success our success. And it's very important to us that, if there's something that doesn't work the way we hoped it would, that we can try and support you through that process, keep things moving, learn from those experiences. And so we appreciate, Samar, that you chose us to be your partner in your journey. Thank you so much. Xavier, what role does your team play before a nurse even arrives in the United States?
Yeah, another great question, Holly. As part of the onboarding process, kind of like we talked about a little bit earlier, is really just staying in communication and making sure we're ensuring that the clinician feels well prepared before their arrival. So helping to secure flights if we need to secure flights. If the clinician is booking their flight, make sure it's an appropriate flight to get here. Taking any questions and concerns they may have, making sure they're familiar with the area that they're going to be moving to. Ultimately, right, the clinician is going to be setting down routes, and we want to make sure that in that community that they're going to feel welcome. So working with the hospital that they're going to be working at so they can be welcomed once they start their assignment. So really just a lot of it is communication surrounding making sure we have all of our T's crossed and our I's dotted so that when it's time to get on the plane and travel to the US, we've prepared as much as possible for the clinicians to arrive.
Thanks, Xavier. Guys, a lot goes into the process, as Xavier just explained. And I think what's really meaningful is that when you look at a company like AMN Healthcare and the international team, that all the experience that they bring to the table for you includes understanding why certain locations may not be the best point to fly into, which places, which airports even have a more seamless process to get through the immigration interviewing piece that you may have to do, the paperwork. So it does matter. And those are the nuanced things that we can help you understand and prepare for. And that's why choosing a partner who understands that, who has those years of experience, can be so beneficial. We're going to move forward in our agenda a little bit because we want to talk about settling in and this type of support that is available to you. And John, I want to start by asking you, what was your arrival experience like, and what support did you receive from AMN International?
Actually, I get a lot of support from AMN, from my pre-NCLEX program preparation to the I-140 application, matching with facilities, and then until I get my visa. So that really impressed me a lot because they have that excellent support for international nurses like me. So after getting my immigrant visa, I flew to the United States in April 2022 for my SSN trip, where I stayed in New York for 2 days. And then I returned to the UK, where I was working that time until my Massachusetts RN was ready. So while waiting for my license to be available, Aurora, my relocation, and from the relocation team, she helped me secure my apartment. So moving to the US in June of 2022 was seamless. They even paid for my rent, and then I repaid it for over 6 months at no interest. So that really helped me a lot. And when I arrived, they assigned me a liaison officer, and his name is Kivon. So, hi, Kivon. He assisted me with settling in, including rides, groceries, setting up a bank account, and even introduced me to Chick-fil-A. So, thank you so much for doing that for me, Kivon. And I really appreciated all the help that I got from AMN. And yeah, thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. And I have to say that that is definitely a very unique part of the staffing side of things, is the ability that they have to connect you with all of those resources to spend that time. It differentiates a little bit from direct hire, which Xavier may be able to talk about a little bit. But I think the other thing we want to understand is what are the key indicators that AMN is kind of going to set for nurses before they arrive in the USD? So how do they kind of put things together to say, this is what we're looking for, this is what you need to be prepared for?
Absolutely. So it all starts with that initial phone call that you connect with your recruiter. And really what that is about is we really want to make sure that we understand your motivations for coming to the US, what's important to you, do you have family and friends here, etc. So it all really starts with that initial conversation, because this is a partnership. Right. So it is, yes, we want you to choose AMN Healthcare International to be your support on this journey, but it's a partnership. So we have responsibilities in that partnership, and you have responsibilities in that partnership. So one of the main responsibilities is that, we talked about it a little bit, is that you are currently working at the bedside, and that you continue to work in your specialty in a hospital that we've approved together. And if any changes are happening within that you just communicate with us. We're not saying that you can't make changes. In certain cases, if you want to relocate to another country to practice nursing while you were waiting to arrive in the US, a lot of the time that's okay, but we just want to be in constant communication. And as I kind of talked about, like, it all starts with the recruiter conversation. By choosing the staffing pathway, you work with each of our individual departments. So we talked a little bit about what that hand-holding looks like, not only from a financial perspective, but also from a support perspective, in making sure that your process is as seamless as possible. John had mentioned our experience in this space, so over 40 years of experience. So with that, you get team members that are assigned to your particular case to make sure that everything, I think Xavier said it, that your I's are dotted, your T's are crossed appropriately, because we don't want your process to be delayed any further by something that is questioned in your application. So by choosing the staffing pathway, you can be very confident that you are working with team members that have a lot of experience in immigration processing to make sure that your process is as seamless as possible. And then once you have chosen where you want to be, so John is in Massachusetts. He is still there, but he may have had other options and then considered Massachusetts. So I know that we're probably going to get to this in a little bit, but there's a lot of misconceptions around choosing the staffing pathway on where you eventually end up working. That is 100% your choice. So, but for the most part, and John is a testament to this, you choose to stay there because you have the experience there, you've made friends, you're really excited, you're really happy. And so during the entire process, you get to work with our team, and communication is key. So we always want to let you know if anything changes, if there are updates on your process. But again, it is a partnership. We both have responsibilities to make sure that your process is as seamless as possible. So hopefully that helps, and I'm excited to take more questions.
Awesome. And I think I'm going to direct the next questions to Xavier. So Xavier, we heard from John a little bit about what kind of support he received, but maybe you can share with us what systems are in place to make sure that international nurses and professionals don't feel alone in those first few weeks and months while they're making those connections that Dee mentioned.
Yeah, great. Great feedback from John too. Thanks for sharing that, John, on Kavan, our community liaison. But that's one of the initial services that we offer as for every clinician on the staffing side when you arrive to the U.S. Naturally, going into a different community, a different city, it can certainly feel very overwhelming. So each of our clinicians, when they arrive, are supported by a community liaison who's local to the area. And that's going to help go through a certain type of task that will get you ready to start your assignment. So from getting a cell phone, establishing a bank account, if we need to visit the Social Security office, support with visiting the Social Security office, if you have to do BLS, ACLS, any courses, supporting there with transportation, going to the department store, getting groceries. If you have school-aged children, getting support with getting your school-aged children enrolled in school. You're going to have that support as soon as you arrive to the U.S. It's just going to make it an easier transition from getting welcome, getting into your new home, and they're there to help you for the first week or so. So it's incredible support. To John's point, I think every community liaison should introduce everybody who's interested in Chick-fil-A. It's one of the best fast food restaurants here. But it's easy to get addicted, so maybe perhaps you don't do that right away. But that's some of the support we receive. Additionally, for those who are traveling with their family, we also know how important it is for your partner as well to establish themselves and have a career in the U.S. So from our clinician support side, our team helps to help your partner find employment. So that is everything from reviewing your existing CV or resume, working with a partner that we have to revamp the resume and support LinkedIn profile building to really help the partner find employment as soon as possible as well. So just some of the support we offer. Certainly our clinicians aren't felt alone. All of our clinicians will have a clinician support specialist throughout the duration of their assignments. So from a social support perspective, they are assigned one team member who will be there with them along the whole way.
Thanks, Xavier. And I think that speaks for itself when we look at the stories from nurses like John, who made it over. I call it making it over the hump, that initial adjustment. It's really something. And yet, as you mentioned, there's even that long-term support. So we're all going to have bumps in the road, and having someone to reach out to, sometimes just who will listen and kind of be that extra pair of ears, can be really meaningful depending on what you're dealing with. John, can you share a moment when the onboarding team made a difference in your experience?
Yeah, as Xavier has mentioned, we were assigned a clinical support specialist who really maintained constant communications. I'm sorry about that sound. Constant communication with us. Like, there was a time wherein I needed questions about, especially taking time off because I really want to go to the Philippines. So there's a constant communication between my camp manager, the clinician support specialist. So whenever I have questions, they are always available, and that made really a difference. I never had a problem during my assignment. I've got the support from other colleagues who are also under AMN Healthcare. Those they are the greatest support with me when I first started with my assignment here in Massachusetts. So I think it's really the support coming from AMN Healthcare that made a difference, and that's why I was able to finish my assignment and decided to stay with the same facility as am right now.
Absolutely. So Dee, John has kind of shared a lot about his experience, but can you summarize for us how AMN works to build trust with the candidates before and after they get here?
Absolutely. So I mentioned it already. It starts with that initial phone call and speaking to a recruiter about what you're looking for, what your goals are, both personally and professionally, and what you can always guarantee. And I think that John will attest to that as well. We're always going to tell you the way it is, right? So if we are looking and maybe your experience is not matching where you want to be long term, then we'll guide you through that. Right. So trust is really, really important. And sometimes we'll have to tell you things that maybe you weren't expecting, but we just want always for you to know what to expect next. Sometimes it can be a long process, and we can be working together for quite some time. John mentioned that he got to the US in 7 months, which is amazing. We're not in that timeline right now. So it's important that as we are continuing to work together through different phases of your process, that we have that trust, we have that rapport, and so that we can have conversations about what is going to be best for you and your family. We want you to thrive here, right? So particularly if you are coming with your family, and we want you to stay long term. So even after your commitment has been met, we want you, just like John, to say, you know what, I really like it here. And my facility has offered me a permanent position. That's the goal. I'm going to stay here long term. So that's always our goal. And we can't establish that unless we've got that trust. So that starts on day one. And so pick up the phone, make a call. We will guide you in the right direction. And just like I had kind of said, once your commitment is over, we will always remain in touch. So once you are part of the AMN family, you're always a part of the AMN family. I'll give an example of John as well. I mean, we've been through a lot together. I knew when he was taking his driving test. I knew when he was continuing his education. I knew when his parents were coming over, right? So, and he continues to share those updates with us. And that's really why we do what we do. And John had mentioned he's been here 3 years, and his commitment to AMN is done. He has been very successful, but yet here he is continuing to be a part of the family. So I think that's really important in any organization that you choose to help partner in coming to the United States. But John is the reason why we do this, and he's going to be a friend for life. So I think you're stuck with us, John.
Oh my goodness. Well, John, I heard a little bit about your how you've grown professionally since you came here, but I'd like to hear it from you. How has AMN helped you grow professionally since you got here?
Well, 4 years ago, I was talking to Deirdre about my plans before I go here to the United States. And my ultimate goal is really to become a nurse practitioner. And now I am 2 semesters away from completing my master's in nursing with a focus on psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So that's it. I'm realizing my dream, and I couldn't wait to expand further my nursing career here in the United States and share what I can do to my future patients.
Awesome. So you're actually specializing in the area that you currently practice in.
Yeah.
That's mentioned earlier, psychiatric nursing is your passion. I think that's really an amazing testament, as well as timeline wise. That's really great that you were able to work and study, and it's taken you about how long to do the course?
So I started in 2024. Yeah, so it takes me about 2.5 years to finish, and I'm halfway through. I'm 2 semesters away. I'll be starting my clinical rotation with the same facility as where I am right now. So I made a lot of friends with all the providers that we have in my current facility. I talked to them, and yeah, they allowed me to do my clinical rotations in our facility and with other facilities around Bay State Health. So that's one thing that really how AMN really helped me in growing my career or expanding my career as a nurse here in the United States.
Well, congratulations on being so close to the finish line. And we're looking forward. You might have to come back and tell us a little more once you finish so we can celebrate with you. All right. So Dee, other folks may be hearing John's experience and going, gosh, that sounds like something I would love to do. And that requires some long-term planning and long-term security. So how does the staffing model create that long-term security for an international nurse?
So it starts with securing that all-important priority date, right? So, and I saw a question in the chat. How soon after you have your documents completed is your I-140 filed? Immediately, right? So once you make the decision to choose AMN International as your partner to come here to the United States, you start working with our team. Right. So the support, the guidance, it starts right there. So there's a lot of documents that you need in order to make sure that your I-140 petition goes through seamlessly. So we're going to help you with that. So if you can get them in 2 days, your I-140 is going to be filed the following day. If it takes you 10 days, it will be filed the following day. So it really is just as quickly as you can gather all of those documents together. And, when Holly had mentioned like where that support that, because it does take a lot of planning. I mean, you're not going to wake up tomorrow and say, I think I'm going to have myself and my entire family, and we're going to relocate to the US. It's probably something that you've been thinking of for quite some time. And I'll go back to when I talked about it is our goal when you arrive here to the United States that you thrive. So not just for yourself personally, but if you are bringing a family with you. Xavier talked about us helping with spousal support. That's going to be very important. So once you start your process, then you immediately start to feel comfortable, start to feel confident that we have your best interests at heart. And if you're very location specific, if you want to be in a particular place, it just may take you longer. But that's the beauty of choosing the staffing route, is because you don't have to choose today. So there are opportunities all over the United States. And here we are on August 8th, 2025. That may look different in August 8th, 2026, 2027, when you are ready to arrive. But John had mentioned it at the beginning of our call. It's from day one, you start to feel that support. And I'll echo again what I said previously, is by choosing the staffing pathway, it's almost like a little safety net for you, that in the unfortunate event that something happens with a position that you may have accepted, then we find you another position. Ideally in the same location, in the same area. But again, you have the beauty of time to allow us to do that. We have got great relationships with facilities all over the country. And so by choosing AMN International, you not only get that 40 plus years of experience, but also you get access to a lot more positions across the country, because again, your motivations and your choices may change with time. So hopefully that helps everybody, but we want to hear from you today. We want you on our next show sharing your success like John is. And we are just so fortunate that he chose AMN International to help him on his way. And I remember acutely that conversation that we had when John told us, I want to be a nurse practitioner. And he was in the UK at the time. So he was practicing nursing in the UK at the time. And I remember that conversation, and here he is. Here he is now, only 2 semesters away, and just a testament to what you can achieve here in the United States by choosing the right partner to help get you there.
Thanks, Dee. I think that's a good segue into asking John what's in the future once he completes his degree. So John, what are your future goals, and how is AMN going to help you get there?
So as I have mentioned, I really wanted to be a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So yeah, AMN really helped me realize my full potential. So when I was, I think 6 months prior finishing my assignment with the facility where I was assigned, I was given an offer of becoming a permanent employee. And because I really love the support that I've gotten from the facility, I chose to stay. I've got a um, very nice manager who gives me support, AMN colleagues who also has been there for me from day one after finishing my contract. And all of those were because of AMN, because they gave me options. They gave me the facility wherein they've got good support system. So I really love working with AMN. I didn't have problems during my assignment, and I was able to finish my contract. So that's how AMN helped me with my journey here in the United States. So thank you.
It's been our pleasure. I'm going to just take a look at one of the comments from Nohara. We've mentioned a little bit about visa bulletins, and there's some comments as well from others. So it says, there's a lot of speculation on this matter, and I'm losing hope that this visa bulletin will take a long time to be current or move forward. So Nohara, probably one of the more reassuring things is that we have throughout the year continued to see forward movement. It's not as fast as it was during and immediately after COVID, but it is progressing. It's why we continue to encourage folks to apply, and we continue to work with hospital partners here to get those journeys planned out, to make sure that there are good matches, to set folks up for success throughout this path like John's. And while it isn't happening as fast as it was 3 years ago, it is still happening, and we have nurses coming in and realizing their dream is still a reality. So I hope that encourages you. we don't have a crystal ball for how fast or how quickly the visa bulletin will move. You will see posts from our team and our expert attorneys as we do our monthly Onwards and Upwards immigration shows, and there will be one coming up, I think, next week. We will talk about what we think is the likely possibility of movement, but until the U.S. Immigration visa bulletins are issued, we don't know. So we just continue to move forward and help you get those priority dates moving. And when it comes to the milestones that you need to complete, keep the process going. We keep in touch with our candidates because we know it may take a little longer than you want, but you're still going to get here and you're going to be able to realize a lot of dreams and perhaps impact the opportunities that your family and your friends may have as a result of not giving up and keeping hopeful. And there was a map as well, I think, of all the different places where we have partnerships at AMN International to help you sort of visualize where are these opportunities. There's a lot, and they're happening every day. And we see nurses, as I'm looking at this map, lots of nurses coming in and still beginning the journey. It's just taking a little longer right now than we would hope. Before I move into the next section, I want to ask Xavier, how does your team help nurses adapt and succeed at the facility? Because there's a lot of things going on when they first get here that they need to be navigating.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is starting to make them feel stress-free as possible so that they are prepared, knowing that everything in their whole relocation and onboarding process is completed. That way they can show up the first day, they can be in the right mindset and really fully focused on day one, starting day one and going through orientation and really showing up to be the best version of themselves every day. And I think that does start with our onboarding and relocation team, is really helping that process so that I know I can show up day one. Everything is settled at home. My kids are in school. You know, I'm getting support from the team to help my partner find employment if it's applicable. I think that's where it really starts. From starting the assignments, I really think it's the support that they get from their clinical manager. So in addition to the clinician support specialists of helping them for all things on the social side, is really the clinical manager that each one of our clinicians is assigned. And they're registered nurses as well. You know, I'm sure John can speak to the support he received from his clinical manager. But really that primary point of contact when a clinician starts their assignment from a clinical perspective of all the questions that they have, things that they're not sure about, that they're not feeling as confident as they would like at a certain point. These are all the stages and all the normal feelings all of our clinicians go through. But the most important takeaway is that you have support. You have support from our clinical team. You have support from our clinician support team. And we're here to hold your hand along the whole way for as long as you need us to. And that support never goes away.
Thank you so much. And I think before we move any further, I want to actually touch on a slide that we had up earlier and sort of discuss it a little bit, Dee. So we have some information around myths about staffing. And before we talk about what we hear with our own experiences with nurses, can you tell us what some of those myths are and sort of explain what the reality is?
Absolutely. I love to do some myth busting. So some of the misconceptions or myths that are out there, you know, I always say, and if you tune into this show regularly, you'll have heard me say, you know, in this age of social media and information at the touch of a button, it's wonderful, but there's so much information out there that sometimes it can be very challenging to know what's accurate and what's not. So one of the first ones is that you're going to make less money. That's a myth. And so again, that is where when you choose where you want to work and live, all of that information is available to you before you accept an opportunity. So if financial reward is something that's very important to you, then you're going to work with your recruiter on making sure that you accept an assignment in an area that may pay more just based on cost of living and everything in that area. But just bear in mind, the location and what you're paid in a lot of cases kind of mirrors what that cost of living is going to look like. So just make sure that you're choosing correctly. But that's the first myth.
Yeah.
Options. That's a myth. We just saw the map. We have got relationships with facilities all over the country. And once you start working with us, when it comes time for you to choose a location or an opportunity, we will present you with everything that you qualify for, right? So sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, right? So depending on your experience, you may have 3 options, you may have 10 options, but you choose. Which comes to the next myth is I can't get to choose my location. It's assigned to me. Biggest myth out there. That is not at all how the staffing pathway works at AMN Healthcare International. You choose where you want to go. And it's, if it's in a location that's very specific, it may just take a little bit longer. But to John's point, we want to place you somewhere where you can see yourself long term. So you choose where you want to go. It is not assigned to you. You choose. So those are like the main myths. It's about pay. I'm going to be paid less. Not true. I don't choose where I'm going to be. Not true. And there's one more here actually that I want to talk about. I need to decide my location now. Absolutely not. You have got the luxury of time, right? So let us work together and figure that out down the line. The most important thing is get that I-140 filed so that you establish that all important priority date. English, right? So I need English before I can apply. Myth, you do not. Now, you do need English as part of your process. So we do have an English preparation course that we will enroll you in. We do partner with one of the best in the industry. So we'll get you through the process of preparing for English, but you do not need it to apply. There are certain English exams that we recommend. IELTS is number 1. And the reason is because it's accepted in more states than, say, PTE. Right? And English is challenging. So we don't want you to have to take it more than once. Right? But, people are arriving every single day. And to Holly's point, it might be taking a little bit longer right now, but you will get here. People are getting I-140 approvals and getting embassy appointments and all of that great stuff every single day. So please get your place in line today. Choose the staffing pathway because that is going to get that priority date established for you immediately. And we would love to have some of you on one of our upcoming future shows talking about your success by choosing AMN Healthcare International staffing pathway. So hopefully that helps dispel some of the myths. I know I didn't get to all of them, but I think I got to the top 4. But if you've got questions that we didn't get to, reach out to us. As I said, we're always going to be very transparent with you. We're going to tell you how it is, and most importantly, get you on the path to arrive here to the US.
Thanks, Dee. I really appreciate that. And I'm sure the folks watching do as well. I actually want to talk about one more myth. It was number 7 on there. And John, you stayed with the facility that you did your contract with. So number 7 says, I'll be treated like a number versus part of a team. I'd imagine you wouldn't have really stayed if that was true for you. So do you think that is also a myth, as we've pointed out?
I think that's a myth. Yeah. I finished my assignment a year ago and I chose to stay. In fact, all of us who worked under AMN Healthcare chose to stay with the same facility. So that's a myth.
Yeah. That's one that I have heard before too. And it's important to nurses to feel that they belong to part of a team. When you get there and you're the new kid on the block, obviously, you're new, but it's a great opportunity to put down roots in a community. And it sounds like you've done that, and your colleagues have as well that have come through this process with you. So that's pretty neat. Thank you. So I want to go in this last minute. It's been a whirlwind. What advice, John, would you give to nurses who are just beginning this journey?
So the perfect time to start is now. So click on that link and start applying. Do not wait until the visa bulletin becomes current. No, you got to start now. So by the time the visa becomes current, you'll be ahead of the line. So begin studying for your NCLEX examination, and then start working on your English preparation examination as well. And if you have accomplished both, then congratulations. At this point, you are now on the way to choosing or selecting a pathway that best matches your career objectives, whether it may be, staffing or direct hire. Conduct a thorough research before making any commitments. Are they well established, like AMN Healthcare International with over 40 years of experience? Maintain your bedside clinical experience. That really helped me a lot. I i don't see myself, or I didn't struggle that much because I maintained my clinical experience. I had my experience in the Philippines, in the UK. So when I transitioned here, it was not so difficult. So you have to, it's for your own sake as well. It will help you transition here seamlessly once you're in the United States. And you also need to develop skills such as cooking. It can help you save significantly on your expenses. And learn how to drive because it can bring you to many places. Just like me, I was able to drive to Boston when my parents came here. I drove them to Niagara Falls. I was able to drive around New York City, the best feeling ever. So learn how to drive and remain positive and focused throughout the process. I know it can be stressing. I've been through your shoes 4 years ago, but I trusted the process. I always pray, and right now I'm achieving those prayers. I've been praying for that like 4 years ago, and now I was able to achieve those things that I was just praying. The road is not easy, but believe me, it is all worth it. So apply now.
Wow, John, you covered it all. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your perspective and your experience with us. And as he said, don't wait. Go ahead and apply at amnhealthcare.com/international. Thank you so much, John, Xavier, and Dee, for being with us today. We are getting ready to close out the show, so we really appreciate the information that you shared. Look forward to having all of you back for future shows. So just know you're already going to need to plan on that. And we will see you next time. I do want to share a few things in closing with our audience. So next up will be some onwards and upwards shows that are coming. So we'll post that information up here on the screen for you really quickly. We do have an immigration show coming up. I hope you'll tune in because a lot of you do have questions and concerns. And so we want to help you know what we know, which sometimes is we're still waiting for information, but we can also leverage the expertise of our immigration attorneys to share their thoughts and trends and information and keep you posted on the latest information that's out there. We also have podcast episodes available. So this season's information is going to be posted up there for you as well. And please tune in for our future AMN Academy shows. So we have a lot of resources and experts that are out there that we want to bring to you to be able to prep for those English courses, for NCLEX, all those major milestones. And we do that specifically to help you get through these processes as efficiently as possible. And finally, I would love to end the show by showing you a recent arrival video. So we have nurses, as I said earlier, coming in all the time to begin their U.S. careers, to build their lives here in the United States. And I hope you'll enjoy watching this with me for the next minute or so. Take a look. Thank you so much. We hope you'll tune in for our next show coming up. I think it's next week. And in the meantime, onwards and upwards. See you soon.